Call to order. Please rise and pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trying to get ahead of myself. All right? Yeah. Man, messed that one up.
Just making sure you weren't having a stroke.
Yeah. All right. We'll do a quick roll call here. Obviously, I am here. Jaden Bailey.
Present.
Alan Stewart.
Here.
William Gusshot.
Here.
Jeff Spink.
Here.
Doug Tystad.
Here.
Robert Owens. Steve Skeet.
Here.
Dan Clemens.
Present.
And Steve Rosenthal. Okay, so we have two of our members out tonight. Let it be known. Robert Owens and Stephen Rosenthal are out tonight. So we have a total of 7 to vote tonight. Did you all have a chance to read through the minutes from our last meeting? I know it's been a little while since we met, but do I have a motion of approval for our minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All right, let me call roll. Jaden Bailey.
Abstain. I was out.
Alan Stewart.
Yes.
William Gusshot.
Yes.
Jeff Spink.
Abstained. Wasn't here.
Doug Tystad.
Yes.
Robert Owens is absent. Steve Skeet.
Yes.
Dan Clemens.
Yes.
Steve Rosenthal is absent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Vote carries with a 5. Secretary's report.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First off, thank you all for being so flexible to reschedule this meeting for today. I know our applicants are very appreciative of this. You have one item on your consent agenda, so of course once you approve the agenda, that item will automatically be approved unless you pull it off. And then on your regular agenda, we have 2 items. Both are exceptions for track splits. I also wanted to add, we wanted to talk to you all real quick at the end of the meeting about the comprehensive plan. So if you would just...
About what?
The comprehensive plan. Just stay in your seats for a little bit longer. That's all we're asking.
One quick thing to add. We normally require someone to be here during their submittal time, whenever they have something on the agenda. Currently, we have that individual that's pretty sick. And to spare everyone here from that same sickness, I told him that it wasn't necessary for him to be here. These are exceptions. He's laid those exceptions out and the reasons for that within your agenda packet. So that's why no one is here tonight, in case you were wondering.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Do I have any declarations? Okay. None. All right. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So move.
All right. And a second?
A second.
Okay. Doug, thank you, sir. All right. Call roll again. Jaden Bailey.
Yes.
Alan Stewart.
Yes.
William Gusshot.
Yes.
Jeff Spink.
Yes.
Doug Tystad.
Yes.
Steve Skeet.
Yes.
Dan Clemens.
Yes.
All right. 7. Okay, we'll go to our regular agenda, which is item 9A. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 24-149, a track split exception for Berg as outlined in the posted agenda. This is not a public hearing item. Planning staff
All right.
agenda?
Case DEV 24-149 is a request for an exception for a track split. The parcel in question is 30197 175th Street. This parcel is entitled to a track split, which they are applying to do so. However, the way that they are proposing to split this tract creates a non-conforming lot. It does not comply with the lot depth to lot width standard. This parcel in particular is what we consider a through lot. It has road frontage on both the front and the rear property line. So from staff's perspective, the applicant is splitting off the lot from the frontage where the existing house and entrance is. So it is pushing all traffic that would be generated from development onto that side. Furthermore, there is floodplain that almost divides this property, not almost in half, but it does go through the center, as you can see. There is also a power line that goes through the center of the property. So there could be further splits in the future if the property owner wanted to pursue that, but it would be coming from the opposite side of the lot, not where the current track split is. So staff is, not in favor of the request at this time. The applicant for this is Herring Surveying Company. He is not in attendance today because he's not feeling very well, but he did provide a narrative for you guys as consideration of the exception request. So if you have any questions, let us know.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we've got the written comments from the applicant, Mr. Herring, and I appreciate that. Is there any other additional information to be presented?
No.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments from the members of the commission?
Did you say that the planning staff was not in favor of this, or was in
I
favor?
said not in favor. So there's nothing in there
Well,
that
you
staff
gave me a
is
double negative.
concerned about.
Oh,
I know. I know.
Wow.
We're not opposed to the action.
It's been a long day.
You do
I had read different, so I'm.
No, not.
Can I ask one question before we go on, just for the future reference? I noticed that there's one entrance off 175th. I mean, to me, it makes ultimate sense with the floodplain and all of that in there, that if they want to develop the western end, it would have to come off 179th, or it should come off 179th. But there's one driveway in the center of the parcel that is now split. Is that going to be an easement? Are
They could choose to share that drive, and at that time, we would recommend they file with the Register of Deeds an access easement for the two. However, that roadway is a local road, so they would have enough room to add another entrance on that southern parcel if they so chose.
So the distance requirements are lowered because of the local road and not the
Right.
county feeder.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
That's good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the exception, which is the case DEV 24-149, the track split exception for Berg, as outlined in your posted agenda.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned earlier, I find that all three criteria for an exception have been met. I therefore move to approve an exception from Article 50, Section 40.3.I, lot depth to lot width ratio in conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for case DEV 24-149 as submitted by the applicant.
Second.
Thank you, sir. All right, and I have a second. I was thinking the same thing. That was well stated.
It just came
That
to
was,
me.
man, that was, wow.
Yeah.
It just came to me.
Wow. Maybe we need to take 6 weeks gap in between each meeting. Okay, I have a motion on a second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Okay. I'll call roll. Jaden Bailey?
Yes.
Alan Stark?
Yes.
William Guscott?
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Doug Tystead,
Yes.
Steve Skeet,
Yes.
Yes.
Dan Clemens, yes. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let the record show we have a 7-0 approval of the case DEV 24-149 track split. The motion is carried with an approval by a vote of 7-0. Okay. We only have 10 more cases to go tonight. Just kidding. Okay. We'll hear our second case tonight, which is Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 24-150, which is also a track split exception for Riley as outlined in your posted agenda. This is not a public hearing item. Planning staff, please give staff report.
All right, good evening, gentlemen. This case is case DEV 24-150. The applicants are requesting a exception from the zoning subdivision regulations of Article 50, Section 40.3, which is the lot depth to lot width ratio for a property located at 16271 Evans Road. The applicants are proposing to split off approximately 8 acres for the existing farmhouse and outbuilding. The remaining 151 acres is in the process of being developed. This track split was a condition of approval for the preliminary plat of Tallgrass Estates that was approved by this commission on October 9th, 2024. The exception is for track 1, as it exceeds the 1-to-1 ratio by approximately 50 feet. The exception is based upon 3 criteria needed for approval, and those can be found in your staff report. If the exception were to be approved, it would be in conformance with regulations. Staff is supportive of this request. The applicant agent is here to discuss the request further and to answer any questions you may have. With that being said, I'm open to your questions.
All right. Thank you. You said the applicant is here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does the applicant wish to speak?
Nothing unless you guys have questions.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any other additional information to be presented?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Questions, comments from members of the commission?
If you don't mind, I have the same question on this one as to access. I couldn't read what the access is over on the far east side, what the lot frontage is there and that's not a local road,
It's a collector, yes, sir.
it's a collector. And so my question is there going to be enough space between the driveways, or are we going to have to do this again?
So track 1 already has their driveway on there, so that would remain. But any existing entrances or anything like that would be a part of that final plat submission that would be taking place, because there would be road improvement plans that would be taking place a part of all that.
And remembering this case from last fall, there is a major road into the subdivision to the east of track 1, and you know that's a major entrance. There's a major entrance over on the other side of the water feature, and then another one down south. And I guess my question is, do we know now if we're going to have that same problem or not? Or does it matter?
At this point, for the approval of preliminary plat, we're comfortable with what they submitted as a preliminary plat. This was a function of that platting action.
Right.
And just to be clear, preliminary plats don't subdivide any property. This will coincide with that plat that they had submitted before. So staff was supportive of the plat. That's why we're supportive of this particular exception.
Okay.
We don't think you're going to run into any additional issues by approving the exception.
Okay, because it doesn't look like there's enough separation available, but we'll save that for the next time. Just looking ahead.
Public Works did not have any comments pertaining to this either, sir, in terms of like access and everything like that. So,
Okay, thank you.
I thought they were already starting on the, as we're looking at this, the northwest portion building.
So phase
road.
1 is absolutely that northwest
Yeah,
portion.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
They
after,
have started that, haven't they?
you mean the final plat has been submitted?
Yeah.
No, we haven't received the final plat for phase
Okay.
1 yet. This
Okay.
obviously has to be approved first before they can bring in a
Okay.
final.
Okay.
Those earth movers out there aren't really there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I was just, excited about the growth opportunity because it's got a lot of floodplain, and the way the preliminary plat was presented to us, it saved a lot of green space,
And again, keeping in mind that green space is saved with the intent of future sanitary sewer coming from an adjoining jurisdiction. So
Right.
At some point, they
Right.
can be served with that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. 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 Well, I entertain a motion to approve the exception, case DEV 24-150, the track split exception for Raleigh, as posted in the agenda.
I did it the last time. All right. Go ahead,
Mr.
Dan.
Chairman, I find that all three criteria for the exception have been met. I approve an exception from Article 50, Section 40.3.1, lot depth to lot width ratio, in conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for case DEV 24-150, as submitted by the applicant.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Right. Thank you, sir. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Let me call roll. Jaden Bailey?
Yes.
Alan Stewart?
Yes.
William Gusshott?
Yes.
Jeff Spink?
Yes.
Doug Tysted?
Yes.
Robert Owens? Oh, I'm sorry.
It'll be a while before he answers.
Waiting.
The wrong one up there.
Just helping you out, Marcus.
Steve Skeet?
Yes.
Dan Clemens?
Yes.
The motion is carried by a vote of 7-0. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Hold your horses.
Nope. Oh,
One quick
Thank you, sir.
additional item before everybody leaves.
Yeah, so as you know, you are required by law every year to review the comprehensive plan. We try and get that accomplished earlier in the year rather than later. So, I mean, there's a few things that I know staff has already identified that we would like to discuss with you. But I think really we want to just talk about the process first and make sure you guys are okay with it. Would you want to hold a study session at your next meeting to discuss?
Identifying goals.
Yeah.
Typically, we try to identify 3 major goals in every annual plan. And we have some suggestions, and we want to make sure that everybody on the commission is comfortable with those suggestions, or we move them to a different priority that the commission would like to see. But we have some, and we will present those to you at a work session of your choosing, but sooner better than later, in my opinion. I like to get those at least started in the first quarter of the year.
Do we know now what may be in our next session? Because if it's going to be 2 or 3 or 6 court hearings and open hearings, that is,
So
And
do you
then work
have-
session afterwards, we're in for a long, long night. I'm not up for that.
That's a great question. We do have one public hearing that was noticed for the March meeting. As far as like plats or anything like that, we don't know for certain, but we'll
No.
likely have a few.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the
How-
hearings.
How long is the process?
It wouldn't be long. I think we could accommodate it in maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, my concern is that I see things on the docket or potentially on the docket through probably June, July. It's going to get more busy. It's going to get more busy as we progress down the road here. So if we've got a singular SUP and two plats, it might be a really good idea to take.
Yeah, that's the reason why I was asking is because the quality of the work session when we've been at this table for almost 3 hours going through 6 to 9 to 10 cases tends to draw out, and then the quality of the work session is, we're exhausted. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it occurring at the next one.
My only question is, are you prepared to present it tonight? I mean, if it's only a half hour, we can knock it out.
We're not prepared to present it tonight. I mean, we can give you a global view of it tonight. I'd like to get a little more in depth than that. And again, I try to trim these down to 3 major goals. I mean, we could load you up with 15. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
So again, keeping in mind what an annual review is. An annual review is to see where you're at in the process and what major things have happened in the last 12 months that probably should be looked at in the next process. Now, total rewrites of the plan, i.e. complete categorical changes of land use, that's really not an annual plan review item. That's a total review item that typically occurs in the 5 to 10 year range, depending on development patterns in the county. I can tell you, outside of your 1 acre elements, which by the way, that will be one of the items that we suggest, and we believe we have a resolution to that without going on a macro scale and wholesale changing the development patterns of the plan. Without that, there really isn't any development patterns that have majorly changed over the period of time that the plan has been in place. So that will be one of the items, and there'll be 2 other items that we'll, again, present to you. And again, we're not trying to get you to make a decision that night. We're simply saying this is the direction we believe we need to move. Do you agree? And you either will or you will not, and give us further direction, and we'll go back and refine that and then take it to the BOCC, make sure that they are in line with that or whatever suggestions they make, and then we will start our review process.
I think it makes sense to do it the next meeting sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of relatively short.
And again, we'll condense that down and just give you what you need, and not not get over the top with the presentation that gets down in the weeds when it doesn't need to at this point.
And I think if it goes too long, Marcus offered to buy dinner anyway.
I thought Marcus was bringing pizza.
Well, if that's the case, we can make it a little longer.
I have one thing that has bothered me about the future land use plan in particular over the last couple of years, and that is this County Road 1 corridor. We've had a couple of cases in the last 6 months, I think, that have gone into County Road 1 corridor, which is that blocked off area, and we've changed some zoning, and we've skirted around other, and at the last meeting, I think or probably in the December meeting, we talked a lot about County Road 1 because there were a couple of cases that fell inside it, and we asked specific questions about what is this thing, and the answers I didn't think were clear enough for us to be able to really, as we will, I'm sure, get more cases inside that particular area. I would like to see us put a little clarity to exactly what that is, what we should be thinking about in a future planning mode for it.
Point taken. And I think that is a key component to a joint work session. with the governing body. I
I
think
agree.
those are answers that need to be supplied by decision makers that are outside of staff. And that certainly is on the agenda. I'm hoping to get that done in the first quarter, depending on what workload is. But we haven't lost sight of that, and that is
Okay.
that is a target. But again, I think that needs to be a discussion between this body and the BOCC. Staff should not have a role in that decision process.
But you should have a full understanding of what the BOCC intends by that.
Which is why a joint meeting, so you're both looking at one another face to face, and each can speak for themselves as far as the intention and where they see that corridor going in the near future.
Sure.
I know there was an intended purpose for that corridor at the time that they placed it. I don't know that that is the same intention that exists today, but again, I can't speak for the BOCC, and I prefer that they speak to that, and then we can react to whatever it is that they believe needs to happen to that corridor. But you're absolutely right. There have been several cases within there, which we again brought up to the governing body when they went through, and they were aware that it was in that corridor. So yes, clarification on that is on the agenda, and
Okay.
it will be on the agenda for a joint session.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the consideration.
Like it.
And that's all
Okay.
we have as staff.
Okay, that's good. All right, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Meeting's adjourned.